RepPrep focuses on the sales call itself, and it also targets the NPI. We generate reports on any US-based physician in 30 seconds, but we incorporate the products that you're selling into the sales plans.
That's the big one. Welcome back to First Year in Medical Device Sales. I am your host, Jacob McLaughlin, and today, my friends, we are about to bring you someone extremely important for your future in medical device sales, for you all to have success in medical device sales. And today I'm welcomed by Mr. Edward Dix, who not only was a veteran for our country, but also a 9-year veteran in medical device sales, who not only had success in the ortho world, but also went into the diagnostic world. And so I want to be able to share that information with you all, so you're going to learn a lot there. But then after having all the success, he saw something in medical device sales as the industry where he saw value that he could provide. And so he was able to come in with a partner, and they have created an amazing company that's literally changing the whole landscape of medical device sales with RepPrep AI. And we're going to dive into his journey of being a medical device sales rep, as well as what their company is doing and how it's changing the whole landscape. So Edward, welcome to the podcast, man.
Thank you. That got me hyped up.
Well, I'm hyped up just to have you, man. When you were just talking, it's such a blessing when you actually get to meet. We've been told by multiple people to connect, and the fact that we live so close together in Arizona, it's like, hey, it's meant to be, right?
Exactly.
But can you kind of go into a little detail? I gave a little background, but who is Edward? Give us a little bit of 30, 60 second summary of who is Edward, and then we're going to dive into your story, because I know it's going to be really helpful for all of these reps wanting to get in the industry and who are in the industry.
Yeah, absolutely. So who is Edward? That's a very open-ended question. But I spent a majority of my life, I felt like I always had to work harder than other people. I went to prep school growing up. I have crazy ADD, right? So it's really hard for me to focus. And so I always struggled in school. And so when I left high school, I ended up joining the Marine Corps for 4 years. And then while you're in the Marines, you start to kind of reevaluate your life. You're like, oh, maybe this isn't what I want to do forever. And so then all of a sudden my ADD went away, right? So I really I started focusing on school, started taking college classes while I was in. And then when I got out, I went to the University of Arizona, started studying physiology. And actually, I was working as a personal trainer, and I was training a orthopedic surgeon, and I was also training a medical sales rep. Studying physio, I would talk to them, and I actually developed a really good relationship with them, and they kind of opened my eyes up to this world of medical sales, which I really didn't know anything about, right? But I was good at sales, and that's actually where I first learned that. So I'd be one time I was at the dog park, and I sold this lady a $5,000 training package. And so my boss was like, hey, on the weekends, you should be the weekend manager, just sell to people. And I was like, cool. So, going through school, I'm training the orthopedic surgeon, the medical sales rep. He brings me on a ride along. Dr. Alicia was his name. He's actually in Tucson. He was really promoting me to do it. He's like, you should go for it. And he actually connected me with a Zimmer bio rep up in Seattle, and messaged a guy on LinkedIn, and away we go. I got the job and started working with Zimmer. And
here you are. And the one thing I just want to touch base, first off, thank you for your service. We talked about, it's really dear to my heart. My best friend is an Army Ranger, so I always appreciate your guys' service. But we've also been able to help a lot of veterans, and you guys are always the most driven and very struck. You know what I mean? There's a lot of good carryovers that come into med device sales. But the thing that I love is we have such a similar background. Same thing. I was a personal trainer. And then I had somebody who was in medical device sales say, have you ever thought about doing this? You're very personable. And and what we talk about and why we help so many people in the fitness world, strength coaches, that background is you're selling every single day. But the only thing with personal training is it's not like a normal sales where you can just sell and say, hey, good luck. You have to sell them every time to come in, and then they have to pay you to do all the work. And then they have to get the results of them doing the work and you keeping them accountable, and then they still pay to show up again. Right. And that was one of the things my buddy always used to tell me is you don't pay the mechanic to go put your own tire on.
Right.
But in personal training, they pay you to then make them do all the work.
Right.
Right. And so there's a real talent to that. And that's one thing I just wanted to touch base on. Hopefully that's helpful to anybody, is how big the relationship factor is when you are building these sales and getting into medical device sales. And so you started networking, got in with people, and then got in with Zimmer. Tell us about like that experience of being in the ortho world, because many people have seen, like we talk about that world, and you were in, of all ortho, you were in trauma.
Trauma and a little bit of total joints.
Okay. So then just explain to us a little bit what that actually looked like for you.
Yeah. Speaking of personal trainers, I actually think personal training is like very closely related to orthopedic sales, right? Because you're not just selling a product, you're selling your knowledge, your time, right? Showing up early, right? Being
prepared, having extra sets if something gets dropped, like all the other things.
Exactly. So it was a smooth transition. I mean, when I first started, like I'm sure anyone listening to this, you probably remember, right? The first thing they have you do is just memorize every single instrument in the tray, right? And so I didn't really know what to expect because I moved up to Seattle and just immediately started working. But I quickly learned that, especially on the ortho side, man, it is a grind. I would get calls at like 3 a.m. I was on call like every other weekend because I was the new guy, you know what I mean? But I learned very quickly. And it's actually interesting, like as I, eventually transitioned out of ortho, the sell, like how you sell in ortho is very different from other types of medical sales. It's very specific.
There's so much that comes with the ortho world. And that's why we have a lot of talks with reps that we've helped get in there and all of that aspect. But a couple things I just want to circle back on is, number one, why personal trainers? And like you said, hey, there's a lot of carryover. Couple things. Number one, you're already working a lot as a personal trainer if you're trying to survive, right? And making some money. So the long hours aren't going to scare you. And then number two, what I want to just touch base for like everybody that's watching is, you came in green, but you're like, I'm green. I'm going to be moldable. Just let me work, right? Yeah. And that's the thing that just to everyone who's new here is like, that's actually a benefit. That's like how you sell against somebody who has sales experience because you don't have any bad habits. You're just like, give me the opportunity. Yeah. And what I want to just lastly touch on, and then we can dive a little more into that ortho world, is you had the opportunity. You were here in Arizona, and then you had to go to Seattle to break in. Yeah. And what the most common thing I hear from my 23, 25, 29s, like I understand if someone's married, has a family, we work with those people and they have to stay in Arizona or whatever it is. But to our people that are single and young, I'm like, well, you wanting to stay in Miami, great, but you can come back to Miami in 2 years or 3 years.
100%.
Right?
You just got to get in.
Exactly. Yeah. So that you were willing to take the plunge and say, hey, for the next couple of years, I'm going to eat it.
Here's another thing too. I was a medical rep all around the country. I was in Seattle for Zimmer. I was in Miami for Zimmer. I was in Colorado. I was in California, Arizona. I think that's it. But if I hadn't been all those places and met all of those people in multiple industries, I wouldn't RepPrep probably wouldn't be where it is today. Cause like we have connections on the East Coast, West Coast, middle of the country. You meet people in training that live in Ohio and you now have their number, right? And so like moving around and working in different hospital settings, different locations, I think that was one of the best things I ever did.
And it actually made you so valuable. Yeah. Because this is what people don't understand. I 100% agree, because this is what I tell all the people is like, when I left Medtronic to go to Innovis and be at a startup, and people are like, why would you do this? Why don't you stay here? It's like, I want to try as much as I can. Yeah. Because it's only giving you more knowledge. Yeah. And what you just said is also the relationships that you build. Yep. Even now, like when I left Medtronic to go to Innovis, I was able to do a deal with Medtronic because of the relationships I built while at Medtronic, right? It's crazy to see how something in the Midwest is ran compared to the East Coast, compared to the West Coast, and it gives you a whole more knowledge base. And so I think there's so much to be said about that. And also, what I've seen is the people who are usually willing to just be open, start over, do all the things. Yeah. Those are the people who are usually the most successful because they're not scared. And
you just like go to new places. And especially when you first start in ortho, like for the first 2 years, your only job is to just memorize the trays and surgery. Yep. Right. So you're learning. And usually what we see now, right? The actual selling is done by, directors and higher up people. Yes. Getting those orthopedic reps out of that, consistent cycle of, I just cover cases. Yep. It's like, hey, go approach that doctor, the scrub, saying, yeah, he uses Smith and Nephew today, but you never know. Like you might switch over. Maybe there's something that you can fill in the gaps with, but it's like getting them out of that mindset of, I'm here to cover this case and then I go home, right? That's a tough thing to do, but I'm telling you, it's the number one thing that these orthopedic companies complain to us about. Yep. They're like, this is our biggest problem by far. How do we change it?
And the one thing I just want to put out there is that is the biggest challenge that we hear as well on our side. But this is why, is because that's how they're trained to do it.
Yeah.
Right. And so like it's interesting to watch because like you said, so we all the time, as people will see, is like we get people hired in that 6 figures and all the stuff. We'll get people who are like been in ortho for 2, 3, 4 years and they're like, that's impossible. I've been in for 2, 3 years and I don't make $100,000 or I barely make $100,000, right? And the reason I just wanted to touch on that is because that's what we normally see is we've had somebody who's worked in ortho for 2 or 3 years. They've never actually ran their own lunch. They've actually never done anything to have people convert into a new business. How do you cover a territory? Are you prospecting? Are you doing it? It's just, you're basically like, I'm just a case coverer, right? And that doesn't actually help you grow the territory. That's why the distributors will go get somebody to be like, you just cover the case, I'll go grow the territory, right? And so now what you guys are showing is how you're able to help these companies, and it's massive. But I did just want to touch on that because that's what we see in the ortho world is many times it's this mindset of you're here, just cover cases for the next 1 to 2 to 3 years. Earn your stripes. And then we can talk about it in the future.
Exactly.
And that's, as you saw, as like when we leave there, it's a different world because you can start going in, and that's how we have helped people go from, like, we just had a podcast come out with Danae who got into the ortho world as well, but in 8 months went from an associate to a full line rep.
Right.
Why? He's having doctor conversations, doing all the stuff. And he also was building relationships with other people at all the different accounts while he was doing it. That led to that.
You have no idea how much you can expand a business just by being the designated case cover. Like, you can grow that business from within tremendously.
Massive.
You just have to do it.
Yep.
You know, when the surgery's over, don't just run out. You know what I mean?
That's the one thing I just wanted to just touch that you just said there. Is like, there's so many reps that are there, and we see it still with people trying to break into the industry. I'm just checking the box. Checking the box. But what if you didn't check the box? What if you actually had a meaningful conversation and built a relationship with the doctor, and not just, hey, I can go have a beer with you? Like, do you know your product? Do you know your competitor's product more than they do? Are you just asking questions as conversation to maybe find a gap where you could help fill with value?
Well, that's how you get these guys like Johnny Cafaro and Slade Rosenthal.
Come on.
That's how you get these top dog reps. Because they understood that on day one. They're like, no, I'm not here to cover a case. Like, I work for a company. We have great products. I'm going to expand this business. And they take it to that next level.
And the thing that I love, because if you guys have watched, Johnny's been in that chair and all the stuff, is the number one thing that I see in all these reps that come, like the people, they don't feel like they deserve anything. And even when they have success, rinse due tomorrow, right? Like, we're still showing up, you're still doing the things compared to what we see on like the daily. The worst people we ever deal with is someone with a master's. And they're like, well, I have a master's, I expect. And it's like, you're expecting is what's keeping you broke and not with a job. Right. And so I just love that you mentioned that is like the top reps, they're signs, right? And we're going to go into how you guys are helping these reps become top reps with the technology you guys are working with and showing. But okay, so you're in the ortho world. What made you, after 4 years, be like, hey, maybe I'm going to look at something else than just running trays and trying to do the grind of all that?
I'd say by like year 3.5, I was like, I want to go into something else. But I didn't really know how to go about it, nor was I really trying that hard. And then COVID happened, and that was a huge opportunity. When that happened, I mean, most ortho reps, you were furloughed, as I was furloughed. Right?
Because you can't go into the cases. They don't need you. It's not mandatory.
Exactly. So I was like, I know that there are medical reps out working right now. What are they doing? One of them was Oncology Diagnostics. So during that time, I got introduced to Brandon Hoover by 2 different people. So the first guy that said like, oh, you should talk to my buddy Brandon. I was like, yeah, okay. But then like another friend was like, oh, you should talk to our friend Brandon Hoover. I was like, okay, now I'm going to talk to Brandon. So I didn't even know him. I called him. He helped get me a job interview with Caris Life Sciences as an account manager, which is like a fantastic entry-level position. Oncology pays very well, by the way. And so...
Can I just ask this real quick? Did you make more in that or in ortho world?
Immediately in oncology.
And I just asked you that because I just talked to one of the guys we helped 4 years ago get into ortho, and they still don't believe that there's anything outside of ortho. And this is just what I want to put out there because we have a lot of reps who are listening. We get told that ortho is it. That's it. That's what people think of med device sales. And like, hey, if you make 150 or 200, just shut your mouth and be happy with it. But people don't understand you could work less, make more money, and there's a lot out of it. So I just wanted to put that out there.
My first year in oncology, I made more than my fourth year. And then in like 2 years, I made as much as I made in 4 years.
I just wanted to put that out there for everybody is like, you can make more money outside of ortho. And let me just say, I want this to be said, there's nothing wrong with ortho. Like we have a lot of people who get hired in ortho, and I think it's a great industry. I just always want to show people that there is other sides, because what happens and what I've watched is people get into ortho and especially trauma is what I watch.
Yeah.
They do it and they do it for 2, 3, 4 years, or even 1 year, 2 years. And then they get such a bad taste in their mouth that they're like, I'm going to go to sell real estate now, or insurance, or they just get out of the industry altogether. But it's like you have such a skill set that can actually still be leveraged, and you probably could use that value and that knowledge and that work ethic to then go make you more money in the same industry, but maybe not the same division or what you're used to.
Well, so I mean, there's a reason for that though. One, oncology is forever changing. Like every month, new updates, new clinical trials, new FDA approved drug therapy. Like it never stops. Like if you're in oncology, every week you're learning something new, and then you're expected to apply that in the sales meeting. But it's also a very different sales cycle than orthopedics. Orthopedics, like you do have to spend time covering cases, right?
Yes, that it's a must, right? Because you got to build the relationships, and also they want you there because you're the safe person, right?
But in oncology, you're selling. Like you are out selling. You do a lunch meeting, you can fill up your entire schedule. You can do breakfasts every morning, lunches every day, and you're just selling. Once you make the sale, generally you have an account manager that comes in. They're like the equivalent of the case cover, and they come in, and their job though is to actually expand the business. It's to then get those oncologists to order, hey, you're only ordering solid tumor, order peripheral blood, order this and that. And they grow the business from within, which is something that I think that the orthopedic industry is really trying to get better at.
Yes.
Right.
Well, and we see it a lot of the times with, like, I always hear the biologics, right? Hey, you have a doctor, let's try to upsell the biologics, right? That world. As an account manager and doing everything with oncology, were you ever in the OR?
No.
And so I just want to put that out there, is because this is a thing. Some people feel like if they're not in the OR, they're not important and all this stuff. And just so you guys know, I get it. Like there is such a cool thing of being in the OR, being in with the team, making a difference in that patient's life. But I do just want to have this said, as you can be in this world and not have to be in the OR, because that's what happened to me. I was always in covering cases and doing all the stuff with where I was at in the GYN world.
Yeah.
But then I'm at a trade show, like we're doing a conference and at one of the hotels, and this guy is at a startup, and he's like, oh yeah. And he told me their app plan was literally 60 grand more than my app plan.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, what are you doing? They're just selling a test. And he's like, I was like, do you ever go to the OR? And he's like, oh no, we just do lunches. I'm like, that's 1/12 of what I'm already doing. Yeah. And you make more money than me. And that's when I just started seeing that there was so much other stuff. And the one thing I'll just say out there is some people don't consider lab sales as medical device sales, right? Because it's not the devices, but there is the opportunity of like still making a difference. You're on the oncology world and making a great living and changing lives. So
my thing with oncology, it was the first time in medical sales where I would firsthand witness like the impact that I had on a patient. And it was my aunt. She had stage 4 ovarian cancer. She was going to have the oncologist was like, our only option is surgery. And so I was going through her, results and tests. And I was like, hey, you haven't had next generation sequencing. Why? And she was like, well, maybe he asked me, but I said no, because I didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
And I was like, you have to get it. And she was literally like a week away from getting surgery. And so Caris Life Sciences, they comped the test for her. It was my aunt. We got the results back. She had like 2 level 1 therapy associations, meaning like there's FDA approved drug to treat that specific mutation. Wow. They put her on some medication and she went into remission. And so like putting the money aside, I mean, when you, and everyone's going to have that moment where you see how the work that you're doing directly impacts a patient, and you're going to be like, holy crap, man, like what I do actually matters. And that alone is a driving force. And that's going to, and then you're in your head, you're like, man, like Caris, I just helped somebody. I need to help more people.
Come on.
And it makes you more motivated to get out there and talk to these doctors and tell them like, hey, my aunt, like we just saved my aunt's life potentially. You know what I mean? And so like finding that motivation beyond just the money. It's like so important. And if you keep working hard, like eventually you'll find it. Eventually you'll witness that and you'll be like, damn, what I do matters.
Yeah. And the one thing I want everyone to just understand is like what you just said is literally the secret sauce.
Yeah.
What people don't understand is they think everyone in medical device sales is going to do this for the money. What people don't understand, we're in a beautiful industry that makes money, right? There's no shortage of that. But what people don't understand is the top reps have had those moments and then they do it for the love of it, of making a difference.
Yeah.
But when you do it and you don't need the money, you don't need the sales, by you just selling with conviction and you selling, and it, again, selling a lot of times is just the transfer of belief, right? And selling with conviction and knowing that it's making a difference and knowing all of that. The crazy thing is you do that and then somehow you blow your numbers out of the way anyway.
Yeah.
Right. And so I just think that's so beautifully said for everyone just here is like, everyone coming in here, so many times we get on so many calls of, I just want to make money. Well, great, but you can go sell solar panels and make money,
You gotta
right?
be passionate about what you do. The money's going to come.
Bam.
The money will come. You just got to be passionate. You got to believe in what you do.
Yep.
And one company that does this better than anyone I've seen is actually Myriad Genetics. So they closely work with patients that they've helped treat and that have gone into remission. And they invite them to be speakers, like at their national sales meetings.
So cool.
They invite the patients like whose lives were saved. They help them set up like foundations and stuff. It's really incredible, like what they do. And so seeing that it was nice to see. It gets the reps like really amped up. Like,
and that's what people actually miss is when you have the success stories. That's what makes you want to go do the one extra dial, the one extra call, the one extra, hey, it's Friday afternoon, I could just call it in, let me just do it. Or Monday morning, no one's at the office, but you still show up, right? At 7 a.m., whatever it is. So I love that. And I just wanted people to see the difference because, again, most people think it only has to be one way. And you're living proof of like, hey, you can morph, change, and there can be positives and benefits with all of it. And it's just different. It doesn't mean it's good or bad. It's just different.
Yeah. I mean, you might find another field of medical sales that maybe you enjoy more.
Yeah.
And that's you just got to pursue it.
And that's okay. But now here's the real important stuff. You were in that world, but then you saw something that maybe could be changed to have a bigger impact, which is going to take us into the next section.
Yeah.
But before we go into like going all into it, what were you seeing when because you saw it in ortho and then you also saw it with diagnostics. What were you kind of seeing that I think we have something there, which now morphs into RepPrep AI.
Yeah.
But what were kind of the moments where you're like, hey, I think this system or how things are being done might be able to be improved in a lot of different ways, which then led you to leaving medical device sales to go now have RepPrep AI, which is making a massive wave and a change in the whole industry on how everything's being done.
I mean, both Brandon and myself, like we have almost the same resume. Like he was at Stryker, I was at Zimmer, both went to Karis, right? And so like in 9 years in medical sales, we've used a lot of different med tech companies and they're all great. They're all, they're all fine. But the issue is like, I never felt like there was anything that was like truly giving us the competitive edge, but more importantly, that was designed to help me close doctors. Every single thing that we ever used was really like identifying a doctor. Mm-hmm. And then we would get, in both ortho and diagnostics, like we would get these spreadsheets with territory, name, claims, like this and that. I remember like scrolling through this, there's like 9,000 pages. And I was like, there's got to be an easier way to do this.
Yep.
Plus, a lot of these companies, right, they say that they make their software for the medical reps, but they sell it to the companies. They don't even sell it to the people that they make it for.
Yep.
And and a majority of them have never actually even been reps. And so when you set up your business like that, it's going to change your product drastically.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's no longer about the reps. It's about selling data to companies.
And you're selling at the enterprise level, right?
Like the enterprise level, exactly. And so then you find yourself in this position, which is where we found ourselves, where pretty much everyone we talk to, they're in the same position. It's like, yeah, we're paying these insanely high prices for this software that's generating the same list of leads that it's generating for all of my competitors.
Yep.
So the playing field's still even, right? Nobody has the upper advantage. And so the issue is not lead generation through like CPT codes and stuff like that. The issue is, how are we going to influence these sales calls to make the biggest impact on the physicians?
Yes.
And taking a step further, on their patients.
Yep.
And so like as reps ourselves, I mean, Googling a doctor's name, like it's not that efficient. And I can't tell you how many times, and I'm sure I'm not the only one, I walk up to an office and maybe there's another doctor that I could call on, and I don't, because I don't know anything about them. And so then I go back to my car and I Google them. I'm like, all right, well, next time I'm here, I'll go in and talk to them.
Yep.
And the internet's a big place, right? So like when we first made this, to be honest, we never really planned on commercially launching it.
Yeah.
Both Brandon and I were like, I want the upper advantage.
This was just going to help you all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then of course, like we let some of the homies use it, and
they're like, oh my gosh, this is
like,
actually helping.
Crazy,
Yep.
right? And so as we've been building the company, I mean, now we have commercial claims data, we have a bunch of strategic partnerships, and we've kept our core value of putting the rep first.
I love that.
Right? We make our software affordable for reps because you're the ones that need it. Like this software and this data shouldn't have like a $5,000 price tag on it. Yep. And then even companies that invest in it, like you can't even distribute it to your entire sales force.
Yep.
They're the ones that need it. They're the ones that are going head to head with the competitors.
Yep.
Right. And so, yeah, that's kind of how we piece it all together.
Can you go into detail of like, what is RepPrep AI for the people who are like, I don't even know what med device sales is, or like, hey, I'm a first year rep, I'm in my first year.
Yeah.
What is RepPrep AI? Because this sounds really cool. It sounds really intriguing. What is it actually, and what does it do?
RepPrep AI. So there's no other med tech company in existence that's doing what we're doing, right? RepPrep focuses on the sales call itself, and it also targets the NPI. So what we do is AI pre-call planning. We generate reports on any US-based physician in 30 seconds, but we incorporate the products that you're selling into the sales plans.
That's the big one for
And
everyone.
what's awesome about our software is that you can pull a report for Dr. Smith on Monday and then pull the same report on a Wednesday, and it could look completely different because we found new claims data, we found new research, we found supporting articles that pertain to your products that are going to help you close this doctor. So these reports are customized using all of this information about your products, competitive analysis, claims data, research, like all of this information that helps you have the best sales call you could possibly have, but also customizes it for the physician. So what we're trying to get reps to do is get away from giving that like scripted elevator pitch.
Everyone says the same thing. You went to training. This is what it is. Say these 7 things and do it. And then you're monotone because you practice it and all the stuff. And then hopefully they buy.
And so like now we have some physician speakers that we're going to be doing marketing with. So we went directly to the people that are on the receiving end.
This is what I love about it for everyone going. This is what's so exciting of what you guys have done. Yeah.
Like we didn't like tell companies, oh, you need this data. We're like, went to the doctors, like, how do you want to be sold to?
Yes.
Because the reality is like, it's a necessity. It might sometimes annoy you, right? As it annoys me sometimes, but like it's a necessity. Like our job is to bring you the newest and best medical technology. And so there's things that they like absolutely love about it. The one thing is that the way that we've structured our reports, we break it into what we call the 3 pillars of medical sales success.
Okay.
So it's knowing your target, mastering your product, and then fitting your product in with your target's practice. So one thing that these physicians like absolutely love about these reports is that it's helping the reps be more targeted when they sell. And so what this is doing is it's taking away all of those lengthy probing questions that eat up a good chunk of your sales call, especially if you've never talked to the doctor.
Exactly. Yep.
Right. And the reps are getting these reports in 30 seconds. And so like you already know what procedures the doctor's doing. You already know that like what research that they've had. And then we take your products, we analyze their research, and we give you talking points about your products based on their research. It's like, hey, these 2 correlate, you should talk about this.
Bring this up.
And they love that because it's personalized. It's not like BS. It's not scripted.
Yep.
It's like, wow, you took the time to, learn about my history, my research, like, what procedures I'm doing. And then the 5 minutes that we're spending together right now is more informative. It's more targeted. And I have a better understanding of what you're selling and how it's going to help my patients. And
That's
they love
huge.
that because now we've condensed it, like instead of 15 minutes of just cornering them.
Yes.
It's like, hey, I'm here for this. I know that you're doing, X, Y, and Z. This is how it's going to benefit you and your patients. And it's just like such a better experience for them.
The number one thing that we always hear on both ends of like I have a new rep going in, or you talk to the physicians, because I used to personal train physicians, or we just have met some through traveling, and they hate people who are unprepared, right? It's like the new associate rep or the new rep who's just like asking, so why do you use what you use? And they're like, come on, man. Like I have to go see other patients after this, right? This is actually doing all the prep work for you and using AI to, instead of you having to go to Google and doing all the learning and all the stuff that I used to do when I was a rep, right? And like you said, hey, I go in, let me look at this person. I'm going to look at 6 different things.
Yeah.
I can put in who I am, what my product is, who's this physician, and it's going to tell me everything. And now in a matter of 30 seconds, I actually know what to actually talk to, how to sell to this person. And you guys put even all the different ways to sell. So it can go to someone's certain style on how they do it.
6 different sales methodologies.
And now you're giving the opportunity to have success. And this is what I love. And this is why I wanted you to come on, man. And because this is truly life-changing and it's industry-changing. Yeah. Because you guys are actually doing a lot of the work for the companies, because I want to just share this from someone who gets a lot of people hired and someone who's been in the world, and you've been in the world. A lot of times it's go in for training 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks, whatever it is, get hammered to get more information to where you don't even know your name. And then when you leave, then it's like, you need to know this. Then you can do a couple mock calls or have you like practice your pitch. Then you go sit in a doctor, and then you go and regurgitate and throw up on all over the doctor of all the words you do. And you never even asked them half the questions that they needed to learn. And then after you get through the first 6 months or 12 months of just getting rejected because you don't even ask good questions, you just throw up on them of just telling them why your stuff's so great and they don't care. Then you go back to be like, okay, now what's the questions I can learn? And then if they're still elementary and you didn't do the research and all the other stuff, it just annoys them. And now what you've done is you've taken the 3, 6, 12 months of hey, go try this on your own. And here's everything you need to know in 30 seconds. And let's make it specific to with you and what you're selling compared to, again, someone at Zimmer and Stryker, they're going to have different reports because they're selling different products with different features.
Pre-call planning, it's the most important part of medical sales, right? Pharmaceutical diet, like who we're actively selling. It's the most important part that gets skipped so frequently. Why? Because it's super time consuming and it's really hard to get this information. And so like the way that we structured this software, and this is so we're working with several Fortune 100 companies now. And the one thing that they love, and especially on the pharma side, as you know, you're just drinking from a fire hose, right? There's always new updates. There's always, bits of information that they want you to add in, or like a new case study. When we set teams up and companies up, we always add in a trainer or somebody in marketing. So they're connected to the account. And as there's new industry updates, new white papers, maybe there's new objections that they want their reps to handle a specific way, especially in pharma, right? You have all that legal red tape. They can go and they can update it by the product. They can update objections. They can update white papers, proprietary white papers. It's not shared across RepPrep. It stays in that company's account. And then it reflects on the reports.
I love that.
So these reps, like they no longer have to, check their email. They get a new update and then they have to remember that. They pull a report and it reflects on the report, but then it's customized for that doctor. So we've opened up this like incredible line of communication between all the new industry updates and your people that are face to face with that doctor. So if you really want them to utilize this new research or these new publications, our software is hands down the best way to do it. It's hands down the best way because it's like getting a box with a puzzle in it. Right. And you still have to piece together the puzzle. And most of the time you're piecing together the puzzle when you're standing in front of the physician. We just hand you the puzzle already made.
Exactly.
And then we find you more puzzles to play with.
And that's the biggest piece. And here's the one thing that's why I'm most excited to have you on, because we're always rep first and we want to work with the companies, but you guys have stayed true to making this for the reps. Because not only do you work with Fortune 100 companies and way other companies outside of the Fortune 100 and all the world, you also make it available. So if a rep is hungry and wants to have success on their own, you can make it available to them. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. That's why we made it. And so I've been laid off twice. Right. And that's like pretty common in diagnostics, but I've been laid off twice. Right. And I worked very hard. I had, good business, and it's just something that like happens. And I always felt like nobody was doing enough for the actual reps. Like so much is expected of you and very little is given to you. Right. Because like, most of these, larger med tech companies, like you can't make a ton of money off of reps, so they don't worry about it. Like we're not worried about that. We want to just give the reps that are trying to feed their family and hit quota. And maybe they just got out of college. This is their first medical sales job.
Yep.
They're, drinking from a fire hose and they like want to just go have good meetings. That's who we're making this for. That's why we have it priced the way we do.
Yep. And that's why I'm so excited. Literally just talked to one of our people we just got placed, and that's why we still work with them and help them. But they're like, hey, Jacob, my mentor I have, they've never hit quota. Yeah. And now I'm learning, and then we just spent 8 hours in a case and I don't need to. And I'm like, yeah, right. And so it's just helping. And this is why I love what you guys are doing. Is we had this talk when we first met, was like, you're giving the rep the opportunity to control their own outcome in their life and in their career. Because what we talked about, and I just want to put this out there for anyone listening, is not only can you have all your own success, you're investing in your future. Because again, we talk about like, I got some training, then didn't see my manager for 9 months and all the stuff. And it's sink or swim in med device sales in many ways, right? What happens if you're investing in your own future, you're showing your own success, you're tracking your own sales, you're tracking all the stuff you're doing, say you do get laid off. Well, that's pretty dang easy to show like, hey, here's what I produced, here's what I did, here's what I did to have success. So when you are going through that interview process, after you get laid off or whatever happens, there it is. And what I want people to understand is many people think, oh, well, laid off, you must be not performing. The problem is what people don't understand is normally it's the top performers that actually a lot of times get laid off, because companies get greedy and they're like, well, this person, we're paying this much in commissions. We actually already have the account set up.
Turn them to house accounts.
Get them around. And we might lose a little bit, but if we put someone in there way cheaper, our profit margin goes up, and that's what people miss.
Yeah, it's generally like the top performers and the people that, like Brandon is like, I don't know, 3-time President Club winner. And he's gotten laid off before.
Yeah. Exactly. And
just like it's kind of just the way it is. And that's why, and like just, to like highlight, some of the features we've added in, and they're there to help and protect. Like we just launched this amazing CRM.
Yeah.
And so like we have some really cool features in there where you can record, or you can keep track of like doctors' emails, cell phone numbers, notes about them, right? So you're building, like, not enough reps approach medical sales as they're starting their own business.
Come on.
In their head, they're like, oh, I'm like working for a company, but you're building a business for yourself. So we specifically put these features in there so that like you can keep track of the revenue that you're generating and your contacts.
Come on.
Which that's your business. Without contacts, you're not a rep.
And here's the other thing, right? Like you said, the first thing when somebody lays you off, you lost all that data right away. Yeah. If you're putting it in their CRM, right?
Yep.
So now you have your own, and again, let's talk extra work. Yeah, duplicate it. You have to put it and then put it in your own, right? But then you're tracking it. What you just said is the biggest is like, hey, I can track my own revenue. Yeah. Hey, I produce that, right? Yeah. If you're trying to go for promotions, if you're trying to go into another position, you got your own resume already there, and that makes you stick out. But then also, again, a lot of times if a company's gonna let you go or you leave, they're gonna wipe your stuff right away.
Yeah.
And so now you can actually have your own future stuff, because a lot of times you can still leverage relationships and go in that world. And that's what I love with what you guys are doing. And that's why I think it's so important, because again, I always think about, yes, we want to help the companies and we want to have everybody have success, but we also want to have the reps have success, because if the reps have success, the companies will have success.
Exactly.
And that's the biggest thing that I think you guys are doing here. And that's why I love your mission and what you guys are doing, is you make it available for everyone else. But also it's like, take ownership, because the one thing you just said right there was, it's your own business. And that's how I've always had success. Mm-hmm. When I was at Medtronic or I was at Innovis, I work for that company, but it's Jacob.
Yeah.
The accounts see me. Right. If something goes wrong, or like what would happen if something's not getting sent out or something's on back order, I'm getting yelled at.
Yep.
It's not Medtronic or the other companies getting yelled at. It's me getting yelled at. And they're like, and now I'm getting blamed for it, right? And so when you just take the ownership of like, hey, this is my business and I'm going to carry it that way. It's also why in our program, what we always are teaching is like, hey, you might also find out in a few years you want to do your own thing in the future, and this is a great start of it, right? Yeah. So I think there's just so much positive of what you guys are doing. And again, the affordability for a rep to be like, hey, you want to take control of your career? Yeah. This is it. And this is, hey, you want to have that edge? You want to stand out? Because we hear it all the time. And even when I was in medical device sales, hey, go use the CRM. I go into it. The CRM's not been updated for a year. I went and got a doctor, and the doctors literally, I had the numbers, and the numbers were off by over 50%. Yeah. And so I'm like, oh, I just closed this whale. And I was like, that's not even close to what I thought. Yeah. That's where I think there's so much cool stuff what you guys doing. And the last thing I just want to mention and why I love it too is you guys are going and working with the surgeons and the doctors, and you're having them and you're doing a lot of collaboration with them.
Yeah.
Instead of what most people would be is like, oh, let's go talk to the med reps and the med device sales companies and get their outtake on it because they're the ones who are the reps. And it's like, no, let's go to the end user.
Yeah.
Tell us exactly what you want, because a lot of times like you're seeing is a lot of times the surgeons are like, I just want someone to do A, B, C, and then I let them buy.
Yeah. The one feature they really love is that you, under each doctor, right? Like when you open a doctor's profile, you have all their information, you have every previously pulled sales plan you can revisit, but then we also have a section where you can record their surgical cadence. So they know that like when reps are coming in and they're using RepPrep and their surgical cadence and preferences are in there, it doesn't matter if it's an associate rep or maybe like a rep covering, they know exactly what that surgeon wants. Hey, bring a small frag with every tibial nail, or like, bring ball tip guide wire. Like all of that information is all recorded in there. And so like the doctor knows, like, I love that these reps are coming and they're always prepared now. Right. They're never like, oh, like, what do you usually do? You
can't even put the amount of money in value, because again, what people don't understand if you're not in the industry or if you're brand new, that's saving you from getting screamed at, yelled at, ruining relationships. That's also going to turn into a lot more business. And it's like, that's what people miss is like, again, when it comes to transactional, there's so much more, but like not having to ask that. And then again, if you do that and you show up and they're like, hey, do you have this? And you're like, yep, got it.
Yeah.
You're the rock star.
Yeah.
You just made a great first impression compared to like a lot of new reps. What happens is learn by fire. You just show up and then they're like, well, why are you here?
And it's funny. It's like, you're probably thinking to yourself like, oh, like nobody else is doing this. These other companies, they were never medical reps.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And like the best thing is like, dude, so we have like 4 engineers now, and our operating costs are so manageable, and we're now profitable. Sorry, competition. We're going to be around a really long time.
Yep.
Because reps love us. And I can't tell you how many times like people have seen the software and they're like, you guys should be charging way more. And we're like, no.
Yep.
That completely defeats the purpose
and the mission
of our mission of like what we were trying to create here.
Yep.
We were trying to help reps just have good sales calls, hit quota, right? This is a great career. It can be very lucrative, but like you should also be happy and feel less stress.
Yes.
And we do all the research for you. 30 seconds, you have everything you need.
And this is the thing too, is like for companies, right? Because what companies get frustrated is they spend a lot of money and resources to try to help them.
Yep.
But then again, sometimes I almost see like it's doing it backwards, right? Like, hey, do all this. And then we're missing the actual, like, what's the knowledge that they need, right? And then again, that's where I think you guys come in here is just, hey, let's help the med device companies also help the reps. Because again, it all circles back to each other. And then when you make it manageable, this is why you guys are spreading like wildfire throughout the industry, is because when something's good, people talk about it. When something they talk about it, they share it with their friends and doing all the stuff. And then when it's affordable, here's the thing is like, hey, now I can use it. And this is why I love it and why we're even talking about all of this is for the fact of how do we have everyone have success? Because it's like we always talked about it, win, win, win.
Yeah.
Right? The surgeons are winning. The medical device companies are winning. The reps are winning. And then you guys, you get the 4 win. You get 4 wins, right? You guys winning, right? And so like, that's the beautiful part of like all of this. And that's why I was so excited to have you on, because again, you always hear AI is not going to replace and AI is all the stuff. And people have all these misconceptions of what AI is and how powerful it can be used. And even though it might not replace things totally, the people that are the front runners right now are the ones who know how to use it the correct way to get the competitive advantage.
So there's a huge difference between using AI to replace a part of your job and then using or harnessing AI to enhance certain parts of your job. So like if we've all gotten an email written by ChatGPT, it's manufactured. There's no personal touch to it. I don't even read them, to be honest. Like I get them on LinkedIn all day long. If you send me like a copy and pasted message on LinkedIn, I guarantee you that I don't read it. Right. And so like the best reps are the ones that are harnessing AI and still keeping that personal touch to medical sales. There's things that AI can never replace. AI is never going to help you show up on time and keep the trays stocked and build good relationships with the nursing staff, the MAs. Like the AI can never replace that, but you can use AI to make you an absolute weapon when you're standing in front of that doctor. So that doctor feels like, damn, like he sat at home. He prepared this entire sales call
for hours.
Just for me.
Yeah, for hours.
Just for me.
Yep.
This isn't like, oh, like, what did you learn in training? Just regurgitate information at me.
Yep.
You know, and that's what we're trying to get reps away from, because the top performing reps, that's what they do. They pre-call plan. They do. And
it's crazy, right? Like we were just having this talk with some of our members, and that's the biggest thing is like, the top reps do the same thing. The low performing always are like, somehow they're always late. Somehow it's the doctor's fault. It's all this stuff, right? Compared to the top reps are always prepped. They're there early. They've done their research. They did it the night before, like all the stuff, right? Like I remember being 9 o'clock and I'm like, I know I'm going to go hit these 7 places. These are the places I'm going. This is every single person that it is. Here's my notes on every single person that I'm going to do. And I think back to the hours I spent late at night prepping, where 30 seconds or an hour of all of it. That's it. And then the other thing with the AI that I just want to touch on is, again, harnessing it. What does that look like when people say that, okay, well, like even ChatGPT, if you're going to use it, well, use it, but that's not going to give you 100% where you copy and paste it. It might give you a 50% or 60% or something that helped you get an idea. You still got to do all the work and personalize it. It just helped with life on certain things. Right. And that's where you guys are just, again, hey, in a matter of 30 seconds.
Right.
I can have a really dang good idea. And even like you just said, how many times, if you guys haven't done it, but you're a rep and I go up and I go to the board and I look and I'm like, oh, there's a doctor I've been trying to get. Or when I was a new rep and our CRM's not updated and I don't have it and I walk in and I'm by myself and I'm like, hey, they're doing one of my cases. Who is that doctor? Right. And then instead of me being like, who is there? I can go search them. And then now I am dangerous and I can have, if I have 5 minutes, I'm going to be able to go sit there and have like a conversation that I did hours of research.
And like, we have a lot of amazing features. We have arguably more data than any other company. And we have all these incredible features that are in there. Like we have an integration with Google Maps. So you can identify physicians based off of CPT codes anywhere you are in the United States by specialty.
And real quick, I just want to touch base. If you guys don't know CPT codes, if you guys are new to medical device sales, that's what like devices go under certain CPT codes and procedures do. And then that's how they bill and that's how they get reimbursed, just so everyone knows.
And so we also take the a la carte mindset in another direction, which is to the companies. So when we onboard a large enterprise company, we assign an engineer to them. So we say, hey, do you want filters on your Google Maps by like ICD-10 code? PLA code, we can do all of that. And so that's another approach that we're taking. It's like, hey, you're different companies, right? Different doctors, different companies. What are your needs? We'll build it for you. And so like, that's another thing, right? It's like, then you're really harnessing all the resources that your company has, and you're having RepPrep work for you.
The thing I just want to keep saying, that if you're a rep right now and your company hasn't got this is something you can use for yourself to then have yourself stand out. Because what will happen is like, well, how'd you do that? Or how are you converting these doctors? Or how are you becoming this well prepared? And this is the thing is you have to take ownership in your career. You have to take ownership of, if you're the person at a medical device company or not even medical device sales, wherever you're at. But if you're wanting to have success, you have to take your own career and put it in your own hands. And that's why I'm so excited to have you on, is what you guys are doing is you're literally giving reps their career back to put in their own hands and not just have it. Because again, whether it's the CRM, whether it's tracking, whether it's pre-call planning that you're doing, you're giving them the opportunity to have it and just use it as an additive into what they already have with their company to only be more advantageous for everyone and not just being like, hey, hopefully it works out.
The reason why reps go in there and they just like recite their elevator pitch is because they don't have confidence. It's the lack of confidence, right? You might be like new, and I believe me, I've been there.
We've all been there.
We've all been there. That's like just part of this, the growing pains of medical sales. But like our reports are so powerful because they give you so much confidence. They give you like, so to put this into perspective, right? Let's say you pull a report on an orthopedic surgeon that's had 3 papers on total knee replacements. When you select your product before you pull the report on this given physician, in the reports, what we're going to do is we're actually going to analyze that doctor's articles and their research that they've done. And then we're going to find correlations to your products to the point where we're going to say, this was a point that was made in this research article that this doctor wrote. This is a feature on your total knee replacement that addresses what this doctor was saying.
I just want to say,
I guarantee that if you go in there with that approach for the doctor, they're going to be like, stay a little while.
Yeah.
100%.
They only have 30 seconds, but that 30 seconds is going to turn into 20 minutes real fast.
And you know what's interesting is that like not every one of your competitors is going to have that, because your competitive products might have different features on it.
Yep.
Right? So the playing field, we're the unfair advantage. We are the unfair advantage in medtech right now.
Yep.
And we're only getting better.
And it's why you're taking the industry by storm. And that's why I love seeing what you guys are doing.
And it's affordable. Like, we're the most user-friendly platform, mobile-friendly. Like, this was made for reps, made by reps for reps.
I love that.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just passionate about this. Like,
you don't got to
trying to help you guys here.
Everyone sees me. They're like, Jesus, chill, dude. But I think something that's important is, are you guys only for ortho in medical device sales?
No. So if you sell to an NPI, like we have aesthetic reps.
And what's an NPI?
An NPI is a physician's unique identifier code, right? And what's specific about us too is that everything is tailored to the NPI number. A lot of other med tech companies will use like aggregated data on like by facility. We don't do that. We target that doctor because that's the doctor you're going to go talk to.
Yep.
Right. And so that's how ours is actually very different.
But you can go to anything in medical device sales.
A dentist, Botox, a dermatologist, whoever you want to. We're going to find all their research. We have their claims data.
That's the huge
We're going to do the competitive, like, so, and what's great too, I kind of talked about this earlier. So like, especially with the competitive analysis section.
Yep.
So we go out and we find your top 3 competitors, top 3 or 4 by market share. So if there's a new competitor that popped up, and let's say they don't have a lot of market share, but they might be, crushing it in your territory, you can add in that competitor like in underneath the product, like, hey, this is a competitor. And then we're going to go out and do a competitive analysis of your product. So like no matter where you go in the United States, no matter who you're selling to, we 1000% have your back.
This is
no matter where you go.
All I keep hearing is the amount of hours that you save people and research. And then also no matter where you go, if you go to a new place, a new division, a new company, a new industry, you can still have success.
This is, I don't even know if I should tell this story. So I'll tell a roundabout version.
Okay.
So one of our engineers, brilliant. So when we first started developing this is actually really funny. So we first started developing this, and like once we got the product to where like almost where it is today, it was like maybe a step down. He was like the entire time he was learning about medical sales, like he would ask like, okay, why do you guys want this? And we would explain it to him, and he like so smart, like picked it up. This guy booked an appointment with a doctor, went and did a sales call on a product with the doctor, and was like, that went really great. And then after he's like, I'm a software engineer. We're developing, like, what can I get your feedback on it? That's kind of what sparked the whole like, hey, like, let's go talk to these doctors. Like, what's important to you, And again, we have some great marketing stuff coming out, but it's funny. Like, this is a guy that had no experience in medical sales. And he's like, I had a really good meeting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm like, you maybe shouldn't have done that. But he was like, but he did tell the doctor, he did say like, hey, just by the way, like, we're a software engineer. We're testing out this new software. Can I talk to you? He's like, yeah. And then he put the doctor through a sales call.
I love it.
And I was like, wow, that's incredible.
I just love what you guys are doing. I love your mission. I love that you're making it for reps, where we see the impact that you're having in this industry and with so many different companies and lives of reps and making the difference. And that's what I love. But where can everyone find more about RepPrep?
Yeah. So the website's www.RepPrep.ai. We also have a LinkedIn page. If you ever have questions or feedback, you can book demos directly off of our website. They're like 20, 30-minute demos. We'll help you get set up with an account. We'll give you like a week free. Like, I put my cell phone number out there on LinkedIn. So that's fine. Like, I just want to make myself available because I just think it's the right thing to do. I think it's the right thing to do. If you own a company like this, make yourself available. And it's like, you might be putting yourself out there a little too much, but it's like our core values are so steadfast that, we haven't done a demo for anybody that isn't either blown away or like doesn't love it.
I love it.
And like, we've gotten feedback. One of our clients was like, I got to tell you guys, like, your customer service is incredible. He's like, I've never waited more than like 2 minutes, and you guys respond.
And also, if they want to find out more, you guys can just click the link below. We'll have a little promo code for you all, so you can go check out Rep AI. And if you're a rep in the industry, go start seeing what this is all about. But if you're a rep that's wanting to get in the industry, this is going to be something you're going to need in the future to take control of your career. So just want to put it down for it to be helpful for you all, because we just want to continue to provide value in every single way. But Edward, I just want to say thank you so much, man.
Thank you.
It's amazing to see not only your progression through your career of medical device sales and seeing it, but then again, seeing a need and being able to fill it and doing it the way of just helping people, which we align with so much, is like, we just want to make a difference in this world. And you're doing it with, hey, rep first, and everything else will follow.
Exactly.
And it's the same thing that we look, and that's why we align. And so I just want to say thank you so much.
It's the same mindset, patient first, rep first, right?
Come on.
I mean, we're just here to help. We just want to create a great product that's going to help you hit quota. It's not, so you can enjoy your weekends, not stress out.
Come on.
Right. And you have the upper advantage. Like we're just passionate about it. Right. It's like, I've spent my whole career in medical sales, and it's just something that like, we always saw as a problem, and we're just really determined to fix it.
And the thing that when you're so passionate about it, it's because you've also seen the messages and the impact that it's had on other people's lives, because we feel the same way. But watching, like, there's nothing better getting a message of saying, hey man, thanks to you, I made this huge sale, or thanks to you, I hit quota. Thanks to you, now I can take this trip, or I can support my family, or I can do whatever it is.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we get messages all the time, and we'll post them up, but yeah, I mean, that's the best part. Like, a newer rep for Zimmer Biomet, who has an account, sent me an email and was like, hey, I got this doctor's email, sent her an email, I got a meeting, and now she's using I think it was like a bunion plate or something. And I was like, that is awesome. I was like, keep it coming, bro. I love it.
Exactly. And that's what it's all about, And so you guys, again, click the link below if you want to learn more about RepPrep AI. We're going to make sure that you guys get all the information. And then if you guys are interested in breaking into medical device sales or wanting to learn more, you guys can click the link down below, as we're always here to help you guys. But Edward, I just want to say thank you so much, man. Thank you for taking time, and just love seeing all the success you guys have already had. And we know that it's only going to keep coming. So appreciate you taking time out of your day.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much.
Of course. And you guys press that like and subscribe button, share this with a friend, and just want you guys to know, we want you to keep crushing it, breaking into the industry, hit quota, and keep living your best life. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.